So welcome everyone. So we have Dita Dlabolová and Tomáš Foltýnek. They're going to talk about interpreting similarity reports. And please, here you are. The floor is yours.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar. And today we are going to focus on the similarity reports for the text matching software. So we will take a look on how we can actually find the plagiarism and how we can distinguish the plagiarism from just some random text matches. So let's start with the introduction of the two of us. So we are both from the Mendel University in Brno. I'm working at the Mendel University as a teacher, and also I'm a vice dean for accreditation at our faculty, and I'm also head of disciplinary committee. So actually the inspiration for this workshop came from my practice of being in disciplinary committee and dealing with the unclear cases in the text matching reports. I'm also active in ENI, and I'm taking care about the database of educational materials, which we are going to speak about later. And I'm also taking care about the newsletter. So if you are receiving the newsletter, I'm responsible for it. And if you are not receiving a nice newsletter, please go to the website and subscribe for it. It comes every 2 weeks.
My name is Tomáš Foltýnek. I am also assistant professor at Faculty of Business and Economics, Mendel University in Brno in Czechia. Recently, I also started as a lecturer at Faculty of Informatics at Masaryk University, and I am president of the NI board. So I am the legal representative of the organization which is doing these noon webinars. So I hope you liked all of them, and I promise you that this is not the last activity NI is doing. We are doing a lot, organizing conferences, workshops, training activities, and I believe that these webinars surrounding Global Ethics Day will be conducted also next year and the years after. So what are we going to do today within this workshop? First, we will briefly mention the definition of plagiarism, so to make clear that we share the same understanding of what plagiarism is. Then we will be dealing with institutional policies about plagiarism. So what happens if plagiarism is identified? Then we briefly share results of the largest testing of so-called plagiarism detection tools or text matching software tools. And then the most important part of this workshop comes interpreting the report. So you will be given 2 reports, and your task will be to decide which of them is plagiarism. And at the end, we will discuss preventative measures for plagiarism, and there will be also space for discussion. So let's now move to the definition of plagiarism. And we would like to ask you to write down your definition of plagiarism, or what you understand if you hear the word plagiarism. So please go to menti.com. I'm putting it to the chat right now, and there type the code 67471374. Again, I typed it to the chat, and let's see what appears there. It doesn't have to be like perfect definition. Just write the most important aspect.
I'm not sure if everything is okay in the Mentimeter. So if you can't join, show the code, please. Yeah, sorry, it's covered. You should see it on the shared screen, and it's in the chat.
It's 67471374.
can see somebody is joining, and we have the first definitions.
Okay, great. More people are answering. So we have cheating here, we have not citing original work or bad referencing, and not acknowledging others. Yeah, without proper acknowledgement. We have also lack of writing skills. We have paraphrase, taking the part of the work.
I asked the same question my students today in a bachelor seminar, and one of the answer was that it's a thing that the Slovak politician is doing. So yeah, it's a thing that quite many politicians unfortunately are doing.
Yeah, not only Slovak, I believe that every country has their plagiarists in politics. Okay, I'm not sure if someone else is typing. As I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, so please submit your answers now so we can move forward. Okay, we will share the definition of NI. You might know that NI, European Network for Academic Integrity, has a glossary of terms, and one of the definitions in this glossary is, of course, a definition of plagiarism. So what do we understand by plagiarism? We understand it as the use of ideas, content, or structures without appropriately acknowledging the source to benefit in a setting where originality is expected. This definition was first published in the literature review about plagiarism detection that I published with my German colleagues, Norman Moischke and Bela Gibb, and it is based on their earlier literature review and also on the definition of Teddy Fishman, which was published in 2009. And we believe that this definition covers all important aspects. It clearly states that the plagiarism is not only about text, it is also about other content, it's also about idea, and it also covers structural plagiarism. What makes what is the crucial aspect of plagiarism is missing the acknowledgement of the original source. Yeah, if you copy something, of course, complying with authorship rules and authorship laws, and if you acknowledge the source, it is not plagiarism. Yeah? Plagiarism happens only if the original source is not acknowledged properly. And also important aspect is the expectation of originality. If someone wants to benefit by copying when originality is expected, then it's plagiarism. And you may know, or I'm sure you know, that in a lot of areas, people learn by copying. Painters, sculptures, and even small children, when they learn how to write, so they learn by copying. And of course, it is not plagiarism, because in this case, originality is not expected. So plagiarism includes using the work of someone else and presenting it as your own. It also includes translation of or paraphrase. As I said, not only the text is important, ideas matter. If you use your own previously published work without proper acknowledgement, you commit self-plagiarism. And also failing to correctly cite and reference another source also fits the definition. What also includes, plagiarism also includes if someone does not give due credit for the contribution of someone else. If I write something collaboratively with Dita and then publish it only as Tomáš Foltýnek, I'm committing plagiarism because I'm taking credit for her part of work, and it's not fair. What is not plagiarism? You don't have to provide the sources of general knowledge or general knowledge of your field. So if you can presume that 90% of your readers know this piece of information or know this idea, you don't have to credit the source because it's considered as general knowledge. And also the contribution which does not influence the content, which does not influence the ideas, like proofreading, typographic corrections, or formatting, cannot be considered as plagiarism.
So now when we kind of agreed on the definition, so let's move one step ahead to the next topic, and this will be the policies or the processes regarding plagiarism. So again, please open the Mentimeter. If we have somebody who was joining late, maybe we can like repost the code to join, because I guess you can't see the code in this case. And we have two questions on you. And the first question that we would like to start with is, what text matching software is used at your institution? So now you should see the question in the Mentimeter, and you should see there I think multiple text fields. So if you are using more softwares, you can write like more of them there, or if you are using just one, just write one. Yeah, 2 global readers are appearing there. Okay, somebody from Czechia, I guess. Turn it in group a little bit, so there are more options for it. Okay.
More customer of original.
And maybe if there is someone who don't know of the text matching software at your university, you can write it there as well, so we know that, yeah, it's like okay to know it if my university is using something.
Yeah, we have Authenticate, which is basically Turnitin, but different interface. Okay, so yeah, Turnitin and Original are the largest market players in Europe. Turnitin is the world leader. Then we have Thesis, which is dominant in the Czech Republic. So apparently we have some participants from Czechia. So let's move to the next question, like which should reflect practice at your university.
So the question is like, how are the processes? How are the usual processes, or maybe the standardized processes at your university? What happens when a teacher finds a plagiarism in a student assignment? Like, is there nothing happening? Is the teacher dealing by herself somehow within the course, or does this teacher report the student somehow? Or yeah, maybe you don't know, or there might be some other options, which then we would be interested in to hearing about them via chat from you. Yeah. Or if your process is somehow special, you can like write short description of the process to the chat. Okay, we have feedback on Menti. Thank you. I started to use it this year and I really, really like it.
Yeah, good to see that you like it. So please use it and provide the answer. I'm thinking that maybe it was a mistake to require some interactivity at noon webinar because you are having lunch and probably can't answer Mentimeter. But
I'm afraid there is something wrong because I just tried to submit my answer and I don't see the answer here. So, yeah, we have the answer. So it was frozen. So sorry for let you waiting. It was yeah, it was some technical issue. Okay, so at most of our institutions, the teacher reports the students to the committee, and for few of us, the teacher would deal with it within the course, and maybe something else. Maybe could you provide more information on the process? For example, if the teacher deals with it within the course, is it the only way how it's happening? So please, yeah, please share your comments and experience and the processes to the chat, please.
We have one comment from Irene that at her institution, the tutor reports the case to the registry, who assigns it to the academic conduct officer to decide what action is needed. So probably that there might be the case might be passed to a committee, or the conduct officer may decide themselves. We have another comment. I would investigate to what extent the plagiarism occurred in the assignment. Turnitin has very strict rules.
Yeah, that's right. There might be high text match, but it might not be plagiarism.
I'm thinking about the statement that Turnitin has some rules. I believe that Turnitin is not the one setting the rules. Turnitin provides a report about the text match, and then the rules should be imposed by university, but not Turnitin.
Maybe it was the rules for finding the text match that it like really finds anything which is possible text match. So then you have to like really distinguish what is a just random text match and what is plagiarism. Okay, so we will share you a schema that we have here, which is quite common for Czech universities. And yeah, when we have some assignment and there is a suspicion of plagiarism, then usually what we need to distinguish whether it's just minor and there are some less serious mistakes, which might be just, for example, because the student is at the beginning of his studies, he like tried to cite properly, but he did not let's say, succeed in proper citations. And in this case, it's probably okay to deal it within the course, so the student can just like be asked to correct the work and resubmit, or get a lower grade, or get some other feedback. But when there is some serious issue, it's a large extent of plagiarism, or you can really see that the student was trying to cheat you, he didn't do just as just an error or just a mistake, then it's necessary to like deal it like outside of the course in the higher level, when some independent committee for Czechia, it's a disciplinary committee, who would make the decision on the given case. So it does not stay just within one course, but when the student is, let's say, problematic within more courses, then the disciplinary committee is aware of this. Yeah, I'm checking, reading the post in the chat.
It's a discussion between
Okay.
Lucia and Irene. I believe we don't have to react on that.
Okay, yeah. So just to summarize what we have here, it's very important to consider the intent and extent. On one hand, it's nonsense to like deal on some institutional level with the students who has just some random text matches, or just like some really minor mistake. On the other hand, it's very important not to let the students who have serious plagiarism, so large extent of plagiarism, or really intentional, to just having as the only outcome just rewriting it, because then by plagiarizing, the students are actually not risking anything, because either they are not caught, or either they do the work which they would do anyway. They just have more tries than the students who do it on the first try properly. The possible outcomes are either some explanation, warning, or for the serious things, it can be official warning, some suspension, some expulsion or conditional expulsion, maybe some other possible outcomes depending on your institutional rules or national law, because, for example, for us, the national law does not allow us something else than basically official warning, conditional expulsion, or expulsion. We can't do anything else. Anyway, everything should be defined clearly in the policies. The policies should be available to everybody, to the teachers, and also to the students. And also they should be known to them, so they should be accessible to them and shared with them, which might be really tricky, especially to get the information about the policies to the students who are probably not reading the official documents. So let's move to the next part of the webinar, and now we are going to take a look at the part about the tools for plagiarism detection and how was their performance in our test.
Well, yeah, we asked you a couple of minutes ago about what tool you use at your institution, and this part would like to react on a very frequent myth. People are convinced that software can detect plagiarism. And also management is sometimes convinced that if the university buys the license of such kind of tool, the problem of plagiarism is solved. So we established a large team, international team, under the umbrella of the European Network for Academic Integrity. And this team tested 15 systems. We prepared documents in 8 languages, and we wanted to verify this conjecture, whether the software can really detect plagiarism, and what the results are. The results of this study, of this experiment, are published in the International Journal of Educational Technology in Higher Education. So you may take a look at it there. We will share this slide, so you have the links. You have the link there. The 15 tools we tested are, yeah, you can see the logos here, but for the systems which was mentioned before, Turnitin was there, PlugScan and Urkund as well. Unfortunately, we did not test thesis.cz, which is the dominant system in Czechia. So what we used for testing, as I said, we had documents in 8 European languages. So we had documents in English, German, Spanish, Turkish, Italian, Czech, Slovak, and Latvian. We tried to upload documents in several formats. We had PDF, Microsoft Word, or plain text, which I believe covers 95% of what students submit. We artificially plagiarized some documents. Some plagiarism was just copy-paste. In some documents, we replaced some words by their synonyms. In some documents, we used paraphrase plagiarism, and some documents were translated either from English to a particular language or also between languages. We had translations between Czech and Slovak because these are really similar languages, and we had translation from Russian to Latvian. We used various types of sources. We plagiarized from Wikipedia, we plagiarized from open access journal papers, and also from student theses, which were publicly available from university web pages. And we evaluated performance of these systems in 2 sets of criteria. First was coverage evaluation, and we were interested in how much of known plagiarism the system found. Very quickly, we figured out that the percentages presented by the systems do not convey much information. In some cases, it was really absurd because you upload the document, get some percentage, let's say 27%, and then you upload the document 5 minutes later and get completely different number. Instead of 27%, you get 43%, for example. So we didn't want to rely on these numbers presented by the systems, and we evaluated the reports by ourselves. So each report was evaluated independently by 2 team members, and then we discussed the differences. So the evaluation was rated from 0 to 5. 5 is the best performance, that the system found everything. 0 means that the system didn't find anything, and yeah, something between means that the system was partly successful. So let's take a look at the results. So one would expect that Wikipedia, which is open access and available to everyone, would be indexed by all systems, and that plagiarism from Wikipedia would be perfectly identified by any system. As you can see, it is not always the case. The maximum of 5 points was true just for the major players. Yeah, Strike Plagiarism, Turnitin, Unicheck, Urkund. Yeah, there were some other systems scoring above 4, but some systems don't index even Wikipedia. You can see that the systems were quite successful for copy-paste plagiarism. But when we replaced some words by synonyms, the performance dropped significantly, and in case of paraphrase, you can see that even the systems which were successful in copy-paste in detecting copy-paste plagiarism basically failed here. Some systems indexed older versions of Wikipedia. Yeah, that's the problem for Wikipedia, that the content changes, which might influence the text match presented by the system. So this is Wikipedia. What is the situation when we take a look at other types of sources? So here are the averages for all plagiarism methods. So Wikipedia is averaged for copy-paste, synonym replacement, and translation plagiarism. And you can see that for open access papers, the differences in performance between the systems are pretty high. Yeah, some systems are better in indexing open access papers, some systems are worse. When it comes to student thesis, the situation is generally worse. With one notable exception, strikeplagiarism.com performed quite well for student thesis, but then you can see that for open access papers, the performance was worse. And for online articles, the best performance was for plagiarism checker, but you can see that performance for student thesis was just, did not find almost nothing. So you can see that no matter what system your university has, it can never find everything. Yeah, so there might be sources of student plagiarism which are not indexed by the systems, and likely there are many of them. So you can never 100% rely on these systems. As I said, and it was already shown on the case of Wikipedia, for copy-paste plagiarism, the text match is pretty well identifiable if that source is indexed in the database. But for synonym replacement, the success rate drops, and it drops even more for paraphrase. And for translation plagiarism, you can see that vast majority of systems did not find almost anything. There are just some random matches in the list of references or something like that. The only notable exception here is Albanian national system Academia, which is able to perform semantic analysis and find translation plagiarism, but unfortunately their performance on copy-paste were among the worst, so their database is really limited, but they can find translation plagiarism. So what are the general findings of our analysis? Almost all systems are able to identify Wikipedia, even though some of the systems only in some languages. None of the systems perform semantic analysis except Academia, and the systems vary very largely in indexing open access journal papers and other internet sources. What might be useful for teachers is some hint how to identify translation plagiarism. This is the real case which we had there. We took a Wikipedia article on plagiarism detection, and we translated it from English to all the other languages. This is the Spanish translation, which was done by a student. We asked the student to translate it to Spanish, and you can see that the student forgot to translate the image caption, which might perfectly happen to the plagiarizing student, and this might produce the text match, which helps you to identify the source. And also, there is 100% text match in the list of references, which makes sense. This is something we don't translate. So translation plagiarism can be identified by these accidental strings, a list of references, and even though the percentage of text match is pretty low, it may lead you to the correct source of plagiarism. So there was coverage, evaluation. The second set of criteria was usability. We had 23 criteria divided into 3 groups. First was workflow process, how comfortable it was using the system, if the system did not require some bothersome activities. For example, some systems force users to fill in metadata. So if you have a folder with let's say 100 documents from students, you are then forced to fill 100 sets of metadata, which is annoying. Some systems did not did not maintain the names of the document. It substitutes them by terrible numbers, and it is then not possible to orient yourself in the list of documents, and so on and so forth. So for the workflow process, we had some criteria. Then we were interested how well the systems present the results, so how understandable the reports are. And the third set of criteria was were other usability aspects. So we weighted the scores in usability. We also averaged all scores for coverage, and you can see the results in these two-dimensional metrics. So the x-axis reflects coverage, the greener the better, and the y-axis reflects usability. Again, the greener the better. Since we did our test, there were some changes on the text matching software tool market. Turnitin acquired Unicheck. Plagscan and Urkund merged to one company called Original. And recent news are that Turnitin wants to buy Original. So all these four best performing systems will probably become one system soon. What are the important points for educators stemming from our test? First, the text overlap does not equal plagiarism. Yeah? What is identified as a text match doesn't have to be plagiarism if it is properly quoted and properly referenced. And also, there might be cases of plagiarism which are not covered by text overlap, like paraphrase or translation plagiarism. So nothing like plagiarism detection tool exists. Plagiarism detection is a task for humans, and we have only tools which are supporting this effort. Translation plagiarism can be found by matches in the references. And what is also important for some minor systems, and particularly the systems which are offering their services for free, beware of terms and conditions, because some systems may sell your documents. This was the case of Viper. In some countries, when you use Viper, you agreed to, after 9 months, they may feed your documents to their database, which is basically SAML. And beware of legal restrictions like GDPR and students' consent, which might be issue in some countries, particularly Germany. And don't rely only on detection. Educators should focus on preventative strategies. And also, what is, I believe, the most important point, percentages are tricky. Don't rely on percentages only. From our experience, we came across some cases where percentages were really, really misleading. Recently, we had a diploma thesis at our institution. The overall similarity was only 24%, but after more detailed investigation, it turned out that a student copied whole thesis but paraphrased the text. So it was basically 100% plagiarism, but the text match was lower. We heard about a student assignment from Australia where the overall similarity identified by Turnitin was only 8%, and it was only the abstract. Yeah, the rest was or seemed to be clear, but when the teacher visited the website, it turned out to be the website of an SAML, and the rest of the paper was apparently behind the paywall. So it was not indexed by the Turnitin, but it was obvious that the whole assignment was bought from that website. We also came across a case of diploma thesis in Georgia, where overall similarity was 7%. But after closer investigation, you found out that it was the whole list of references, and the rest of the thesis was translated from Russian to Georgian. Here was also the issue of different alphabets, so the system had no opportunity to identify any text match there besides the references. And the opposite case, bachelor thesis, again from our institution, students submitted the thesis, but then did not finish some courses and didn't have the opportunity to defend the thesis and had to prolong the studies by one more semester. And during that time, he worked further on thesis, improved it, rewritten some part, and after submitting new version, the similarity looked terrible on the first side, 89%, but obviously it was not plagiarism, because it was a text match with the previous version. So this was briefly the results of our test of so-called plagiarism detection tools. Now we know that we better call it either text matching software or tools supporting plagiarism detection, that the word plagiarism detection tool is misleading.
So let's now take a look at the outputs of such tools. So this will be the main part of today's webinar, and we will take a look how to interpret similarity reports from text matching software when the report is a little bit tricky. So we are going to work with practical examples of text matching system reports, and we will have 3 of them. The first one would be just like to warm up and a little bit to get to know our system. And then there will be the main part, 2 reports, and where we will decide which of them is like contains plagiarism or shows plagiarism, and which of them is just containing some random text matching. As you have experience with different text matching software, it would be good news for you that the reports that we are going to use, they are not from some specific tool. The reports were created artificially, and I took an inspiration from Turnitin PlugScan. So you might they might look a little bit familiar too, but they are not from one like particular software. And I believe like the experience which you would have from the interpretation might be useful for you, whatever system you are using. Also, the text in the report was created just for this report. So do not please like evaluate the quality of the text. It's not high because it was created just for the reports. On the other hand, the reports contain a link to the sources which were used, and the links are real. I hope that they are still working, that there hasn't been some changes. So please take a look at the reports and evaluate the work with the sources. Tomáš already shared with you the link to the first report. So here you can see it also on my screen. So you will find there 3 pages in the PDF. And we kind of like pretend this is just a part of the report. It's not like complete text, but we have their first page which shows the sources which were found in the text. So we can see that the system evaluated 40% match. Then we can see 1 page from the text, and you can assume that all the other pages would look similar way. So whatever decision you make based on this page, it would work for the entire text of the student. And the text matches or the sources which you have to this 1 page, these are all the relevant text matches. Yeah, for this part there wouldn't be any other text matches in the report. And the last page is the list of the references that the student provided. Again, these are not all the references which were in the text. You can see it's like page 86. So we are not sharing the entire text with you, but these are all the references which are relevant to this part of the text. So the student did not enter any other references which would be relevant to this part of the text. So please think a little bit, assess this report, and try to make the decision whether this is plagiarism or not. And share your answer to the Mentimeter. I will just prepare there the question. So I can see that the players aren't entering, so I will open the question, and you can share your answer there. So we have 5 answers. I don't want to wait the 16 minutes for the answers. So yeah, we will give you like 2 more minutes to think about it, and then we will check the result. And maybe we can post again the code for the Mentimeter if somebody joined later. So if you joined us later and you did not use the Mentimeter yet, just open in your browser web page menti.com and enter there the code which you have in the chat. It is 67471374, and then you just need to enter a nickname, yeah, then you can share your answer. Okay. So I think it was the 2 minutes which I promised. So please share your answer, and then we will check the result. So let's take like. Yeah, we cannot see the answers yet because this is like closed. This is like the quiz type. So yeah, so let's check the answer. So it seems, come on, we see the leaderboard, but I would be interested in the results. Yeah, here we have the result. So 4 people identified this as a plagiarism, and 2 did not consider it as plagiarism. So what is always the most interesting part on this is like, why did you make your decision? So maybe if I can ask someone who identified as a plagiarism to explain why you consider this as plagiarism, and the same for the person for someone who like considered this not to be a plagiarism.
So those who answered yes, what was the problem you spotted there? Why you think it was plagiarism? Or it is plagiarism?
never sure, like, if we should wait more, if people are typing. Yeah, people are typing. Okay.
Okay, and we have complaints about the green part, which was fully copied, but was not acknowledged, or not referenced properly.
Yeah, this is the large amount of text from a non-referenced source. Exactly. Yeah, the green part is the problematic part, because there is the red part which is highlighted and the blue part, but this is just the quotations with the proper references which we are taking. Blue is too long a quote and it should be paraphrased. That's a good point. On the other hand, I think we are dealing with a bigger problem of the green part, which is not referenced. It actually seems, within the green part there are two references. There is Carroll and Appleton 2005 and Carroll and Seymour 2006. But actually, what was found in the like by our system is that this comes from Bretak and Green. So the green part comes from Bretak and Green, which is a newer source. And now it's a little bit different. Depends whether you tried to open the source and whether the link is still working. Because when you would open this Bretak and Green, on the very first page, you would see the same text which we had in our text. This is the text highlighted in blue. So the student actually did not use the Carroll and Appleton 2005 and Carroll and Seymour 2006. He or she just copy-pasted the text from this source from Bretak and Green and use it without any proper references, because this is actually the 100 text match source. So my point here in this part is that even when we see in the highlighted part of the text that there are some references, it's always to double check the source which was found by the text matching software, and to check how it actually looks inside, because this is a thing which is happening quite often, or sometimes at least, with the students, that they are taking the plagiarized text also with the original references from the document. Anything else which you would like to point out about this report?
Yeah, maybe I would like to react on the complaint about the blue text that is long and should be paraphrased. Yeah, that might be the case. You might require your students to paraphrase such long parts, but it does not fulfill the definition of plagiarism. Yeah, it is properly quoted and properly referenced. So no matter how long this fragment is, it doesn't fit to the definition of plagiarism.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so let's move forward. So this was just to get to know how our text matching software works and how the reports look like. And now we are going to have two other reports. So this was the one which we were working with so far. That was report 0. So now Tomáš just posted to the chat report 1 and report 2. So now we are going to work with these two new reports, report 1 and report 2. And we already know that one of these reports is plagiarism and the other one is not plagiarism. So this is easier thing. You usually don't know this in practice. And let's assume that these two reports are from bachelor thesis. Both of them, they have exactly same text match. It's 19.4%. And your task is to examine carefully both of them. You can also check the sources which are referenced. And our decision will be now that we will, the one which we will say that this is a plagiarism. Let's say in this moment that we are really going to report the student to the disciplinary committee, or we are going to initiate the disciplinary procedure. So let's say that now our decision like really makes change, because one student is going to take his final exam and defend the thesis, the other one is going to take part in the disciplinary procedure, and he's going to like prolong his studies, or he's maybe going to be expelled. Yeah, so let's take it like high stakes decision. And we can also assume that the students passed some course on academic writing, so they should know how to paraphrase, how to reference the sources and so on. So if you can see their mistakes, it's not just he was a first year student and he didn't know how to do it properly. So this is report 1. And this is report 2. Please open the PDFs because I can't share both of them at the screen, and I will open the voting again in Mentimeter, so then you can make your decision there.
And if you have any questions or doubts about what you see in the report, please type it to chat and we will comment on it. So do you need more time for your decision?
Yeah, 4 answers, if I'm not wrong. So I think we can take 1 more minute. 1 more minute, please. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are sharing again the code, and the reports actually can be found, or like all materials can be found in the database of NI materials, if I'm not mistaken. I believe we were uploading there as well. But if not, we are going to upload them there after the webinar. Tomáš has just shared with you to the chat link to the NI web page, where you can find this presentation, maybe a little bit older version of this presentation, and also all 3 reports. So if you would like to use this activity with your colleagues or with your students, like, feel free to do it. We are going to speak about the NI materials later. Okay, I think it was the 1 minute that I promised, yeah, and we have more answers. So I think we can check our decisions. So let's see which of the 2 reports was plagiarism. Yeah, so I don't want the lead report yet. I want to see the decision on the reports. Okay, so yeah. 5 of you find out correctly what I plagiarized, and I plagiarized it like really on purpose. The other one should not be plagiarism. I was like really honestly writing there all the sources which I was using. So maybe let's start with the report 1, and let's check what on the report 1 helped you to make your decision. What was wrong with the report 1? Or with the document on which the report 1 was showing us.
Please type to chat what was the problem you identified there.
So yeah, so if we take a look at it, there is like the tricky part, or like at least what I was like taking as a tricky, and which I was also like inspired by seeing it in student works, was the light green part, which is which starts with the Teddy Fishman, because this seems that. Again, it is properly quoted because there is the Fishman 2009, page 5, so it seems fine. But if we take a look what the system found in as this green source, it is actually not Fishman 2009. It's Foltýnek 2020, and in this source, I cannot click on the link as I have the presentation open. In this source is exactly the same part, which is being just again copy pasted. Yeah, okay, it's screenshots now. I know why I can't click on it. Sorry. Yeah, so this green part is not Teddy Fishman 2009 as it looks like. And what we have here in the list of the sources, but it's actually taken from another source, which is again not referenced in the list of the sources as well at all. Then actually all the parts which like were after this green part, they weren't also like okay, they weren't without any plagiarism, because basically all this 3.1 paragraph is just the paraphrase plagiarism from the orange source. Again, the orange source Foltýnek, and again Foltýnek 2020, but it's it's an other document. It's not mentioned here in the list of the sources. And if you would find in this document this this text, no measures can function, and so on, and take a look what is before and what is after, then you would actually see that it's the same text which is there. So like deeper investigation for this report would actually like direct you to more and more plagiarism. I really plagiarized this like bet and a lot, but it's actually like exactly what inspired me when I saw this in a student work, and this is what inspired me. It seemed that plagiarism was not so bad in the student work. There were just like one sentence here and then, but when I was checking the text around this text matches, and when I was checking the original sources, I just found out that the student was plagiarizing much more, but in other parts of the text, the student managed to cover it by the paraphrasing, so the text matching software did not reveal it. In the second report, I just basically these are just random matches in longer phrases, as they are the matches in the names of the Creative Commons licenses. These are the things which like happen to be the same, but all the sources are being referenced. And also here in this violet part, when you were trying to read it, it basically doesn't make sense, but they are just the names of some documents and names of some organizations and laws. And again, these are basically random text matches, because you cannot like paraphrase the names of the organizations or names of the documents if you need to write about them. Anything else which you would like to tell us about these reports, or how difficult it was for you to find out what was the plagiarism and what was not the plagiarism? And also, actually, this report too was also inspired by a real case of a student, and it was very similar to this one. It seemed that it's like quite high percentage. I think it was something about 20%, but I think the work was about like organs of a European Union or a European committee, and there were so many names of the different committees and of the different documents and so on, that all these like basically random text matches, at the end they built quite high text match in the entire document, but they were like really random text matches because they were text matches in the random names. So let's summarize it a little bit, and let's take a look on what these systems are useful for, because so far it seems that they don't help us, because the same result can have totally different outcome.
Yeah, so as we could see, that the systems find text match from easily accessible sources, but the good news that easily accessible sources are easily accessible also for students who run out of time, and we know from research that running out of time is among the top causes of plagiarism. The systems can check for accidental plagiarism, and what is also important, that even low percentage can indicate a source of plagiarism. It might be a case of synonym replacement, paraphrase, or translation. The drawbacks of the systems are that they don't index everything. So we as teachers should always look for some oddities in the text, identify some parts which are different from the rest, like look for weird formatting, look for numbers in the text which stay there when you copy paste something from Wikipedia. There are footnotes and the numbers will be there still. Use Google, take couple of random sentences, put them to Google, and if it is taken word for word from other sources, Google identifies them for you. And it is also easy to fool the systems by manual paraphrasing, by translation, and also by using automatic paraphrasing tools, which change the words and change the characters there, so the text match presented by the systems will be lower. So nothing like plagiarism detection system exists. Systems find text match, not plagiarism, and they find the text match under two presumptions. First is that the source document is their database, and the second presumption is that the text overlap is beyond a threshold, so the system decides to display it.
And now let's focus on the last topic for our webinar, and this will be the prevention, because of course the best way is that when no such problems as we could see in the reports are happening. So about the reasons when we are asking the students why they are plagiarizing or why they think their peers are plagiarizing, it's either some pressure. So they are either worried that they will not pass the course, they are worried that, or they do not have enough time because they are dealing with too much work in their courses, or they are really worried that they need the degree and that they would like not succeed in having the degree without like plagiarizing. And actually this was the reason why in my course, when I was dealing last semester with student plagiarism, at the end they all told me they did it because they were just worried they wouldn't write the text by themselves, so they rather like copy it from the internet, and then they failed. Then it's also the opportunity. So when the students know that they will not be caught, for example, when about some courses, there are student rumors where students say, well, you know, the teacher never reads the works, like you can write there a recipe to bake a cake and you will get the mark. So if there are rumors about the assignments like this, of course, then the students do not pay much attention to writing it properly, and they might plagiarize. And the last reason might be rationalization. When students hear, yeah, everybody is doing it, the politicians are plagiarizing and all the students are plagiarizing, so I will do it as well because this is normal. So so all these causes, they together make the ethical risk. And also it might be interesting to take a look on why teachers think that students are plagiarizing, and why students are plagiarizing, and what teachers think and what the students think. So for teachers, they usually rather think, or at least based on our research from 2013, they think that for students it's easy to cut and paste, that they think that the plagiarism is not wrong. On the other hand, the students, they rather run out of time, they are unable to cope with the workload, or they think their own work is not good enough. So the students' reasons are rather the rationalization, or there is the pressure. But from the point of view of the student, from the teachers, they rather see that the students are using the opportunity, and that they rationalize their behavior. So also even when they are like the reasons are still part of the same triangle, there is different perceivance from the students and teachers. So the best way of further prevention is to kind of like deal with the parts of the triangle and try to minimize at least some of them when you can't have an impact on the other ones. So we will go back to the Mentimeter for the last time today. And the last question is, why do you think what can prevent plagiarism? Oh, we have here the leaderboard. So you can see who they're the winners. Okay, it's high. So yeah, how can we prevent the plagiarism? Again, we are going to build the word cloud. So please type there your ideas. I think this time we have 3 text fields. So you can write there, yeah, we have actually 5 text fields. So you can write there either just one thing which would prevent the plagiarism, or you can write there like 5 of them.
So we have first ideas here. We have teacher training, feedback on referencing, education, developing writing skills using text matching software. What else can you think of? A lead by example. That's nice. Developing academic skills, authentic assessment, redesign assessment. Yeah, so ideas are kind of repeating here. Education, training, and text matching software are getting larger.
Yeah, I think it's good that we have the education in the middle, and I think it would get higher if we would merge it with developing writing skills. And I think I saw there's something else, how like to teach the students to reference properly, because that's the main point. If the students never learn how to do this, they of course can't do it properly. So that's the first point, like first to teach the students how to do it properly. And of course, we cannot rely that the students know it from some previous levels of education, especially from the high schools when they are like new to the university. Also, the teacher training is quite high, so also the teachers should be aware of these issues, should know how to deal with these issues, also should know how to work with the text matching software, that it's not actually plagiarism detection software or some originality assessment software, but it's really just text matching software. And also the teachers should sometime learn how to work with the sources properly. So that they can lead the students by the example. Then, of course, we need to have the kind of negative motivation, so penalties for plagiarism, and to have tools which help us to detect the problems which we have here multiple times. And yeah, this needs to go hand in hand with the FOIL processes, because if one student is, let's say, almost expelled for plagiarism from university, and the other one with this exactly the same assignment will just pass without any problem, then students feel that it's not fair, because they always like share the information with each other. And yeah, there's also a few points about the design of the assessment and the authentic assessment, and also the motivation of the students. So the assessments, the assignments for students, they shouldn't be repeated every year, just describe how forests look like. So this is like really something which motivates the students to just copy it, because it has been described 1,000 times. And sometimes the students tells, yeah, but it has been described so many times, I wouldn't write it in other words. There are no other words how to write it. So I would have it as a plagiarism anyway, because so many people were writing about this. So to have the assignments which either are chosen by the students, so they choose something they are interested in, something which is up to date, which is connected with their own experience. And I think we said quite feedback almost everything.
I would say that you basically covered the most important points. So let's continue. Yeah, first thing, or I would say the most important thing, the presumption of any success is don't sweep plagiarism under the carpet, like admit that plagiarism happens, admit that it is a problem at every institution, and then we are able to deal with it. So to address intentional plagiarism, we have to address all three sides of the fraud triangle. So we have to lower the opportunity by using deterrent strategies, text matching software tools, and other measures. We have to lower the pressure, so emphasize intrinsic motivation of students. So they want to learn, they want to do the assignment by themselves. Treat students as partners, and sometimes it might be useful to extend the deadlines and give them, for example, some lower grade, but still they can complete the course even after the deadline. And also lower the rationalization, move the overall feeling from everybody is doing it to nobody is doing it, which means building the culture of academic integrity. And that's the most difficult part, I would say. But the good news is that the systemic effort works. There are some studies, I would point particularly these two Australian studies, who looked at their institutions and mapped systemic effort of preventing plagiarism. You can see that in both studies, in both institutions, they introduced courses about academic writing, so there were education. On the other hand, there was also Turnitin, or the software, other text matching software, as a deterrent, and also implemented educational changes, authentic assessment. So these changes increased student motivation and were more about their like assessing their personal outcomes, not something which could be copied from some sources. The general findings are that there is no one-fits-all strategy. If we want to address plagiarism successfully, it is always longitudinal work. You have to address plagiarism at more layers, and yeah, it requires a lot of effort, a lot of funding, and a lot of time. The central role here is played by assessment, so it's the most important thing, and we have to address both educational approaches to motivate students and remove the pressure, and deterrent strategies to prevent intentional misconduct. some other studies show that students who cheat tend to cheat repeatedly, so you need to cover these cases and to apply appropriate disciplinary outcomes. So when it comes to the culture of academic integrity, we have to acknowledge that academic integrity doesn't mean not cheating, not plagiarism, not other kinds of misconduct. Academic integrity is defined as a compliance with ethical and professional principles, standards, and practices by individuals or institutions which are here to drive the decision making, and both for individuals and institutions, and when we are talking about academic integrity, so it's in academia, so education, research, and scholarship. And the culture of academic integrity is defined by NI as an individual, group, or institutional behaviors, values, beliefs, attitudes, and characteristics that is promoting and following academic integrity. So if you are interested in some resources, in some educational materials, we invite you to visit the web pages of the European Network for Academic Integrity, so www.academicintegrity.eu. And you will find the large collection of educational materials there. The slides and the reports of this workshop are there. There is also glossary for academic integrity containing the definitions of terms. There is a large document, general guidelines for academic integrity, which can be used when designing institutional policies and when thinking of measures against not only plagiarism, but also other forms of misconduct. And there are self-evaluation tools for students, teachers, researchers, and for management about how well they understand the topics related to academic integrity. And it's also about their views and commitments. So all these resources are available from the NI webpage, and as Dita indicated at the beginning of this workshop, you can also subscribe to the regular NI newsletter and get news about new resources and about the events organized by NI and our members and our partners. So that's all for today. Here are the sources which we used, and here are the contacts. If you have any questions, so you can ask them either now, if we have some time, or you can contact us via email or visit the web pages. Thank you for your attention and for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tomáš and Dita, for this amazing presentation. It was really engaging and good examples. I'm glad that they are going to be posted on the INAI website. We can provide a link together with the recording on the website for the European Academic Integrity Week. And this was our last webinar for this week. But I hope to see you all next year, because I'm almost certain that we are going to do it again, because we are really enjoying it and it's really high quality webinars. If you have missed any of the webinars, they're going to be posted on the website as well as on the YouTube channel, INAI YouTube channel, of course. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for your feedback.
Have a nice day and have a nice weekend.
Thank you.